Hey, I'm Jeff, and this is Bob. And today we are at the Faust Brewing Company. We're gonna make us some sausage. We have our guest here, special guest Alex Meixner, just fresh in town. Hello,
I
Alex.
am so happy. When I get to New Braunfels, I'm a happy man. And especially when I can be drinking good beer. Of course, you know, I mean, it's got my own name on it. And
Very well.
I mean, where else but in New Braunfels can you get the mix of tradition and culture and all of the new stuff? You know, how long have you been making sausage like this, Bob?
Long time, since I was just in diapers almost.
Diapers. All right. It's a good mix.
And you, Jeff?
Well, just about the same time, really. Since as long as I can remember.
You started when he was in diapers?
No, well, hold on a second.
It was called OJT, on-the-job training.
Very much so. Yep.
Good stuff. Well, much like I learned music. You know, I mean, it's
Very
just
well.
like, it was a family thing. You learned from your dad?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how many generations of sausage makers are in your family?
I have a picture going back to about 1850 or so, where there's a whole row, and that was my great-grandfather.
Wow.
So as far back as that I know
So
of.
your great-grandfather, your grandfather, your father, you, and Jeff is the 5th generation. You know, I just remember a guy that used to give us venison sausage when I was a kid, and my dad would make goulash with it.
Goulash.
You know, the great, and I can remember one time in which my little sister was like, oh, this is the best goulash ever. Dad, what's in there? And he goes, Bambi. And then she didn't eat goulash for about 2 years after that. But it's interesting because you guys make the sausage for your own pleasure and for your family and friends to enjoy.
Right.
And I've watched you guys do your demonstrations at Wurstfest for years.
Yes.
You know, which is one of the main reasons that people come to town in the beginning of November normally.
Uh-huh.
You know, but there are a lot of sausage makers, commercial and private, in this town. You know, I mean.
Very instrumental in getting the festival going.
Yes.
The meat inspector was a veterinarian, Dr. Ed Grist.
Okay.
And Dr. Grist knew all the sausage makers in the area, and everybody loves a festival. So
course.
in his mind, he was creative, he was a good man. He said, we ought to have a party, a big party, a festival to give sausage, you know, good advertising.
All right.
It didn't need much
Didn't need much advertising because people in New Braunfels like to eat their sausage. You know?
Amen, amen.
How did you end up Alex Meixner?
So my Urgroßvater, my great-grandfather, came from Burgenland, Austria,
Okay.
which used to be Pannonhalma in Hungary. So it was one of these things in which the borders changed a lot.
Sure.
You know, we find this with everything. You know, I mean, countries change, you know, but we all had our culture and that kind of stuff. So when my great-grandfather came over, he... This is good. I love him playing with all this stuff. Dennis
Your
is
great
crying.
grandpa. Dennis is vomited.
So my great-grandfather,
Throw that away.
he was the Kapellmeister,
Okay.
the band leader.
Okay, gotcha.
And his instruments were cornet, trumpet, and geige.
Geiga. What is a Geiga?
Violin.
Violin.
Okay, see? Your dad knows.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he had the orchestra, and with all the family, my dad's uncles and aunts, everyone played instruments.
Okay.
Sure.
You know? And my grandfather was the youngest, and he played trumpet like his father, and he played drums because they needed a drummer at that point.
Sure.
Okay. You didn't get to pick the instruments you played.
Really?
At that point.
You were assigned.
It was
You were
the
assigned.
okay.
What we need.
Okay. We need somebody, and everybody had to play an orchestral instrument and a band instrument.
Multiple different kind of instruments.
So my grandfather was the youngest. He never got an orchestral instrument per se. He ended up playing the bass. You know, so he did for the orchestral stuff, and he got that. But my grandfather was the rebel in the family. Okay, he was the rock and roller.
Okay.
I know it's kind of hard to imagine when you see my take on polkas and that kind of thing, but pop up. He professed to not like rock and roll, yet he was the first guy to ever have an electric bass in a polka band back our way.
Yeah.
And
Now,
And
was
in-
that shocking at the time?
Oh, yes, it was.
Uh-huh.
In fact, at that point, his older brother, my dad's Uncle Carl, was the band leader because this was after my great-grandfather had passed away. And he told my grandfather when he showed up on a gig with his Fender bass that if he showed up next week with the
same-
Fender bass, that he was fired from the family orchestra.
Right.
And he knew my grandfather very well because my grandfather walked in with the Fender bass and his replacement was already on the stage because they knew that's the way it was going.
Do it.
Okay.
Wow.
I have to tell you a little bit about my background. One of my uncles, Melro knows him, Uncle Shorty.
Uncle Short.
He was this tall.
Everybody's got an Uncle Shorty, right? And he's either this tall or he's
Or he's
big.
that tall,
Yes.
you know.
And he played the bass fiddle.
Okay.
Bass. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to understand Uncle Shorty's personality, he enjoyed drinking. He would have enjoyed this
German
for
soda
sure.
water?
Well, I enjoy Ziggy Saggy Ziggy Saggy.
Oi,
Hoi,
oi,
hoi, hoi.
Uncle Shorty was playing at a local dance hall, big, taller than
Which
he
dance
is.
hall?
Probably Green Hall,
Okay.
because it was around then. And he got super excited. Too many Lone Stars or grand prizes, and he was playing it, and he danced that bass fiddle right off the stage. Boom!
And it's on his ass.
He
Well,
was having a good time.
In fact, that's why my dad started a bass fiddle, because back when my grandfather was still in the family band and he was playing bass fiddle, my grandfather would go to the trumpet, and then when he was playing trumpet,
Okay.
he had a lot of breaks, so he had more time to drink.
There you
With
go.
the bass fiddle, you
There
had
you
to
go.
keep playing.
You're working
You
the
know,
whole
and
show.
you're playing all the time, but when you're playing trumpet and then you go to sing a little bit, you got a little extra time. You got
yeah.
a free hand. Okay?
It makes the music come out better, doesn't it?
Exactly. Well, what would happen
These
is
are
that
things I never knew about. I've always pictured it, but this is
See,
very true.
My dad, when he was 9 years old, he would fill in for his dad when his dad couldn't play bass anymore because he had had a few too many beers
Yeah.
or
When he was
Jägermeisters.
9.
Yeah.
So he was 9 years old, and it was a bass fiddle. So they'd stand him on top of an accordion case,
There
and
you
he'd
go.
stand on top of the accordion case and play the bass fiddle.
Where
And he was
there's
good at it, I guess.
real-
That's
Had
what
to
ended up
been.
being his college major.
What that reminds me of is when I was a kid, we would listen to polka. He would listen to polka music all the time.
No, you're kidding me.
Imagine, right?
No way.
German, it would be German polka, and then there was
And I would-
Czech
I would-
polka.
and Polish,
I would sing along.
and he knew all the words to all these songs. And I don't know if that was a radio station or a 8-track or what, but
I bet Roy Hogg was involved with this in some way, shape, or
A little
form.
bit, yeah.
You know.
I remember Ayasa.
Zwitschki, sam svej, kodnički, odsetla. Now, we're not even Czechs, but that melody is so familiar to
And it
so
was
many
about
of
a
the Texas Czech people.
Bumblebee or something, wasn't it? The song that was the lyric. I don't know.
No, that song is All Alone by Myself with a horse and
There
no
was
one
no
else.
bumblebee involved.
There's no
Okay,
bumblebee
okay.
involved with that song. Your Czech translation got a little bumbled there.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Bumbled.
Dig it.
Okay.
Bumbled.
But I mean, man, the Mexicans do the same thing with chorizo.
Yes.
They
Well, that's
just-
what I was going to say.
They use some different spices.
the
Yeah.
cross culture thing, especially in Texas and in New Braunfels for sure. We would listen to this stuff. It'd be Polish music or Czechoslovakian or whatever, right? Or German, obviously. And then the same exact beat and the same exact song would come on, but it'd be in Spanish, and we would just roll with it. And so to this day, I listen to music like that because I grew up with it, and it's been just kind of a part of my in the background kind of thing. And so I think that it's a good way to be, without a doubt.
And do you want to know what? It's slightly different. With the sausage, when they make chorizo and their
Sure, yeah.
sausage, they use a slightly different mix of spices.
Right, but it's the same. You're doing the same thing. You're just doing it different.
And with the
Just a little-
music, it's a slightly different beat, or they have to change the melody a little bit
Right, to
in
fit
order
the
to fit
lyrics.
the lyrics.
So since we're pretty much done making sausage, let me ask, you guys seems like you should know a song that would be like similar to like pop some old songs that you know from
I
back
have
in the
a
day.
song in mind, Jeffrey.
Which one?
Okay.
And I did not have an Aunt Anna or Tante Anna, as we say auf
Yeah.
Deutsch. But there's a little song that goes like Tante Anna.
Exactly. My band actually recorded it on our last album.
Very
Make
good.
some noise.
I'm gonna be in the front row next time, and we'll sing Tante Anna,
Tante Anna,
Tante Anna, Du bist die schönste Frau in der Welt.
So wie du gebaut bist. Tante Anna, Tante Anna, du bist die Frau, die mir gefällt.
Wenn ich die Tante Anna sehe, dann muss
Tante Anna,
sie geht so stolz von Kopf bis Zeh.
Tante Anna,
Sie hat auch feine Sachen.
Tante Anna. Do you know what? So many people think 2020 has been completely terrible. And let's admit, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in 2020 that nobody wants to have reoccur. But this sausage was made in 2020. Mm-hmm. And this is really freaking good.
January.
And let's take, and this beer was made in 2020. I think this calls for an Ein Prosit. You know what I mean? Hey.
Hang on. That one just right there, Pop.
Ein Prosit, der Gemütlichkeit. Ein Prosit, der Gemütlichkeit. What? Swat, right, super! Sicke, sage! Gable sausage ist wunderbar.
Prost!
Ah, danke schön.
Bitte.